Oh, welcome back there. And Spawn. AV putting on a bit of a Chiefs performance today.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a look at how that game went, it was just like a really bad level one for Avant. As soon as you burn that flash on the Ginny, he's no longer going to be the lane bully. And then the fact that Mundo gets two early kills and is just like an absolute powerhouse in the top side means that the one area that you really heavily counterpicked is now no longer going to be a factor. And PGG are one of those really solid teams. And it's one of the reasons that I like PGG so much. I actually think I complimented them, the first time they ever played in the OPL, that this should be a cerebral team, how they set up. They've got an experienced shot caller in Rogue, and then they've got Western Way behind the scenes as well. So when they do have those advantages, they do play the game quite smart. And it's refreshing to see because not a lot of teams in the OPL actually do that. When you have advantages in the OPL, you tend to just fight. But PGG are one of the few teams that will just like jockey you around the map, kind of collect objectives, and eventually run over the top of you.
Rusty, they had a bit more of an up and down split so far, but I'm loving seeing this evolution of PGG, where I think that speaking to something that Spawn brought up a couple of weeks ago about the idea of like experience together and experience on stage as a team, and seeing that sort of smart decision making coming through, it's exciting to see PGG grow like that.
Yeah, and seeing the meshing of the players into a legitimate team, right? Like Spawn just mentioned how good they are playing as a team with leads, but I think what's super cool is we're seeing the individuality of the players still working within the team design itself, right? Like the start of the split, we were like, damn, that's a crazy Thresh coming out of Rogue. We have the set one trick now in the jungle as well, playing for his team actively. And then you've got the Mundo in top lane. Like there are these small things now, these flavor hits everywhere that are kind of still working really nicely as a whole team, which is really separating them from the middle of the pack.
And credit where it's due, it hasn't really been up and down. They're outright third. They've got wins against the Chiefs. They've been able to definitely be a factor. I don't think they're beaten a top two team. Have they beaten Legacy or Order? I don't think they have so far. But everyone else, they've really been able to trade blows with and take games off. So I've been kind of impressed with. They feel like a team that snuck up on you. They've been grinding away at it, having consistently good performances, and deserve to be outright third at the moment. They're the top of the mess.
The top of the mess, indeed. Well done, PGG. You just continue to grow. I'm like a proud little daddy. All right, speaking of proud, we are proud to have our sponsors on board, and we are proud to have EPOS on board. They are proud of their gear, so much so that they want to give away 2 headsets to 2 lucky OPL viewers. All you need to do is head to @OPL on Twitter and reply to our tweet there about this competition, giving us your most out-of-this-world gaming experience story. I think you can use as many tweets as you want for that as well. So if you want to go long, go long. We will announce the winners live on the OPL in a couple of weeks' time. We are giving away 2 of those headsets thanks to EPOS, the GSP 600s. An excellent piece of headgear, and there are full terms and conditions available at watch.lollysports.com. EPOS giving back to the League of Legends community, and it's time that the OPL gives something back to the League of Legends community as well, because I feel like we've taken a lot. We've really taken it down into the depths. So we need to round out our LCK with today's edition. So let's roll those titles.
The sun's out, the crowd's ready. Let's reckon!
No one escapes my aim. I bring the storm.
Oh, we got 3 picks left, gentlemen. Are we ready for this?
Yeah, but
if I say no, does it stop?
No, stop.
You love this. You love this. You being able to just like give your opinion on literally every single element of the game. This is Spawn heaven.
I was going to say, during this first one, I am going to mess with my lighting, Nick. So just make sure that the camera doesn't cut back to us will be wonderful.
That's fine. Once Rusty is bright enough, then that's when we can come back. All right, the first matchup for the second half here, we have Olaf versus Anivia. Who are we liking? Who are we liking?
Oof.
Not like my lighting.
I have a soft spot in my heart for both of these champions, Nick.
Why is that?
Okay, so Anivia, when we first created Order, we were against the Chiefs lineup that had Ryoma on it, and he was like this godlike Ryze player. And Anivia historically has a really good lane matchup into Ryze, and we laid a trap for Ryoma, which was the first time we beat the top 2 teams. So I've always really appreciated Anivia for that. Olaf,
Yep.
because the Brolaf skin was one of the first legendary skins I purchased, and I thought it was insanely good. And he runs around like drinking craggy ice and like chucking weird stuff at people and says "bro" a lot. So I enjoy Brolaf a lot. Bro.
That's a terrible reason to like anything. Rusty?
So I see this in a very similar way to Spawn, funnily enough. I see it as Brolaf versus Eggnivia, which was one of the changes to Anivia when she goes into egg form. Actually changed what it is in chat, Nick, to say Eggnivia, and I think that's cute. So I'm going to go with Anivia.
And like she can insult people while she's an egg.
Yeah.
It just says Eggnivia. I mean, don't do that in game. Playful banter only.
Look, I mean, chat is agreeing with you guys. 63% of the vote is going towards Anivia, and I feel like Anivia. I like anything made out of. Is she made of ice?
Yes, I think so. She's like Articuno.
I think so.
Surely.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, it's 100% ice. That's just a skill. So congratulations, Anivia. You win. Olaf, you're out. You suck. That's probably a bit too hard on Olaf. But all right, next up, Trundle versus Udyr. I mean, both very ugly champions.
Do you know Trundle's story? Maybe it's not Trundle's new story, but Trundle's old story was he was born with this genetic mutation that he heals really quickly. And then his people got a disease. And so what he did is he used his power to inherit all the disease of his people into him. And he would just keep regenerating because of this, superpower mutation-y thing that he has. But he did it to save everyone. So, like, he's got wounds and stuff all over him that keep, like, decaying, and then he rapidly heals.
So is in the logic of this law, can he not heal, actually, like, cure himself of the disease, but he can cure himself of the symptoms of the disease?
Yes.
Oh,
correct.
That's brutal.
Yeah. So I've always had a really soft spot in my heart for Trundle, just based off his lore alone. But then Udyr, my good friend Jat, who actually got me my first casting gig in NA, was an Udyr main when he played for a team called Rock Solid that then became Dignitas, which was apparently the team that saved League of Legends, according to a couple of people. So I'm torn on this one. I'll go with Chat, but both of these champions have great stories.
You want to talk about Jat? Did you know that I played against Jat in a tournament in 2010? Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
And here's a big part of the reason that we didn't do well at international tournaments. So Trundle.
An excellent reason, the most personal reason, of course, the best reason here on the OPL. Trundle, 82% of the vote for Chat. Unbelievable. And now 100% of my vote off that story. I did not know that about the law, and I feel like that selfless act. That got me right in the feels. So well done. Udyr, you're gone. I'm sorry, but you didn't take on the diseases of everyone you've ever met, so therefore you are not worthy.
What even is Udyr's story? He's like a tiger, bear, turtle, phoenix man.
I mean, really, it's one of those situations where it's like, well, we've designed a bunch of cool champs. We're due for a release. What do we do? There's something in the bottom drawer. No one liked this one, but eventually, because we don't have anything else, we'll take out and go, oh, it's not that bad, right? And then just release. Okay, the final matchup for today. It is Volibear versus Ornn. How are we feeling about this? Volley obviously getting a massive rework very recently, so potentially has the leg up.
Man, they really like the lore battles in this. They're not going to let us choose anything other than lore in a lot of these.
I don't know either of these champions' lore because they're too new.
They're demigods that are mortal enemies, is the simple way to look at it.
Okay.
It's blue versus red.
Yeah.
Well, I think the cartoon was called Red versus Blue, Nick, but we should be
I know,
talking
but
about League of
copyright,
Legends.
so that's why I didn't say it.
Whenever I hear Volibear, I just think of Thick Bear, and I chuckle. So I'm going with Volley.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Volley's better. I like Ornn, but I think Volley's new skins look fantastic.
I think Volley's new skins look fantastic. Got a cool Nordic feel about it. Even though chat says 61% of them are voting for Ornn, Thick Bear is just part of OPL lore at this point. So I feel like Volley Bear needs to take this out. And I have a sneaking suspicion that Volley will go far in this competition. So there you have it. We have round up and finished the Freljord edition of this. To recap, the winners from here: Ash, Sejuani, Gragas, Braum, Anivia, Trundle, and Thick Bear. So congratulations to all those champs. You are on your way to becoming the greatest champ in League of Legends history.
Freljord's not winning. Freljord's a weak region.
A weak. The greatest team in OPL history, potentially, are about to step forward and take on Gravitas, because it is time for Gravitas versus Mammoth. Mammoth, obviously, a little stumble in their uphill rise yesterday, but I do have faith that they can do it again. And Gravitas pretty handily beaten yesterday as well by PGG, I believe. So who are we tipping for this one, Spawn?
Who's playing?
Mammoth Gravitas versus Mammoth?
Leave chat alone for a second.
I go Mammoth.
Rusty?
Yeah, I think Mammoth as well. Like, they still looked good yesterday. They seem to have come into some form. So,
call me crazy, but I think Mammoth can actually do it. Let's jump into game number 4 for the evening. It is Gravitas versus Mammoth, and it is coming up after this short break with the Maccas Champ Select.
Try and save out this turret. You can see as soon as that one falls down, they just have free access to once again go into the jungle area. I think he's gonna miss.
Both supports flexing their might, looking who can be the better engaged. That's a one back over onto Free. That is disgusting, and that is downright dirty. That's going to mean that Gunko picks up a triple as easy as can be. Appy just walks straight to their bank and says, I baited and outsmarted every single one of you. That is an ace. That is flawless in its execution. Not a single death here for Avant. Even they are unsure as to what the play is. They can feel the anxiety swarming around them, so close to the biggest upset weekend we've seen all year long. But that means that everybody from the Chiefs can come back to this fight. Now, Mboma doesn't have a flash. Will he have a stopwatch? I didn't get a chance to see as the score screen goes down and sole focus goes on towards the Elder. Now down to 50%.
Chungy on the flank, Liv on the flank.
Looking for that flank attempt. Can they try and make that action happen? That's going to be Chungy, that's going to be Liv. Everybody's going to get knocked off right now. The entire Chiefs team are up in the air. There's nothing they can do. Croc goes into the front line. They can't go for a smite steal. The team destroys them. They fall around. That's a flawless ace once again. Mboma the target. He survives on 10%. And once again, forget the Elder. Let's go for the win.
And they just use the objective to bait the fight. They take it cleanly. 5-0. Mammoth going to end the weekend 2-0.
I'm really excited to play against Order this week because both teams have been cheering each other on in the past couple of weeks because we've both been wanting each other to win. And I think we both play similar styles, so I'm looking forward to seeing how the game goes.
I think the previous weekend, Chiefs and Legacy were playing fairly bad, but we managed to 0 them. I think we have improved, and I think we can definitely take on Order and come out with the win.
I think Order's been looking pretty good over the past few weeks. I think they'll be a tough opponent to take down, but I think we'll be able to do it in the end.
So yeah, tonight we play against Order. Ayla, noob, Dream, noob, mid, noob, jungle, noob. But their top, he's the young Titan, so gotta be a bit scared of him, I guess. But I've got Aaron from top lane, so it should be a good game, and hopefully we can come away with a win.
And here we are for the final game of week number 7. And as you can see from Mammoth there, they're still so hyped to take on Order. That was also yesterday. Here they are up against Gravitas. And is that disrespect? Is that just fun and games? I don't know, Rusty. But what I do know is we're well and truly into pick and bans.
is it production mistakes as well? You know, is Mammoth prepared for Gravitas? We don't know. We don't know their opinions on it. But what we do know is that they've just insta-locked themselves an Ezreal first pick on the other side here, Skibby. And I jokingly mentioned this to Mboma before in chat. He was in there during the first game. I was like, are you going to Ezreal 1v9? He said, just for you. It's kind of great that he's insta-locked that, Skibby. I know which team. You know, I'm not biased, but I do have a favourite right now.
There you have it. You've got the power, you've got the control. You've actually chosen this draft already here for Mammoth, influencing it with the Ezreal, and now followed up there by the Nidalee. Gravitas going to open up with the insta-lock into the set. Chungy will not get their Yasuo to run it down like he did yesterday. We're not going to get to see the Cogmore as well. I did actually enjoy that from Mboma. It was a bit of fun, bit of craziness. Not going to happen here today, as we're now hovering the idea of a Kaiser, another Chungy pocket pick. That will be denied away here today.
Yeah, I mean, the Cogmore was interesting. I liked it. I just didn't like the entire comp of Mammoth put together, right? So I wouldn't be against seeing it again with a different type of perhaps composition overall. Nevertheless, it is clear they are keeping that style of comp, right? We've got the full poke. And it's weird because we have seen a lot of AP Cogmore start to rise up in general. And it has existed sporadically through the AD carry position, but it also existed in mid lane. So if ever there was a composition to consider, like if we ignore Gravitas' comp for a minute, this is the type of comp you'd pick an AP Cogmore with, right? Just full commit to the poke. But instead, you know, we'll see where they choose to go. Probably, they're going to go for the Wukong. I was expecting maybe a support pick there. But
this is, this feels like a bit of a lived special ever since he swapped to the top lane. It has been his most successful champion, one that provides so much identity to what they're looking to try and do as a whole. Knock everybody up into the air, lock them down, guaranteed that there's a ton of armor shred as well. And as you saw in the series against Order last night, that did get shown the respect ban and the denial away as well. Now, into the second set of rotations for those bans. Mammoth will not allow the Scion to go on through, as nobody showcased it yesterday as well, as the Fresh is the response.
Yeah, 2 top lane bans actually here. So they've gone for a third pick into top lane. Definitely for Lived. Right now running the Ignite and the Teleport as well. So very curious to see if that remains. And then they've gotten rid of 2 of the tanky champions that may be picked into it. My first thoughts looking at Gravitas' composition is as a Kaiser. It could be a set support, which is definitely not a big surprise if you see that. But it could also be like a Nautilus or something. And so I was expecting Mammoth to maybe even consider banning those away from Gravitas. But never mind, because Gravitas are going to ban it themselves. If there's one thing I've learned about both of these teams, Skibby, is that in certain aspects of their drafting, you throw convention out the window. They tend to draft a little bit more for just themselves, right, than anything else.
Yeah, no, they certainly do. And, you know, this is a pick that Puma is already very comfortable on. He's played it twice so far, into the Chiefs as well as into Order. Has played it with 2 different supports in the Braum and the Fresh. But has run it into an Ezreal beforehand. And a matchup that we've talked about in past where you might actually have a slight lead at level 6 when the True Shot Barrage is being wound on up. The ability to then jump on in with a Killer Instinct and try and deny and delete him in a heartbeat. They're going to combine it with the Bard, the lockdown, the prevent of the all-in. As Mammoth have now drafted themselves a ton of engage with that Leona.
Yeah, that Bard's actually going to be a very curious pick as the game progresses. There's a lot of risk in that bottom lane of still being taken down, not just in the 2v2, but with any pressure down there. It's not going to be a pure CC tank that's going to get picked with it, that goes with a Kai'Sa nicely to actually proc the plasma stacks. And they are going to go for the Malphite last pick here into top lane. So the set is being flexed to the jungle position, as is pretty standard for most set picks. And Malphite into Wukong is one of those matchups where we have seen the Malphite be perfectly fine. And when you compare them both for team fighting, very similar strengths, just one is a tank, one is a carry.
Yeah, both have a ton of armor, obviously, both have a ton of ability to impact the fight, and both will be very crucial with their teleports. And there you have it. There you have it to round out week number 7. The pocket pick from Chungy himself, the man that does it all. He is showcasing us the Ahri once again.
Does he do it all, Skibby?
He does it all. He says, you know, throw caution to the wind. Forget about meta. Forget about it. I can pick Ahri into Legacy and Turbo Smurf on them.
I mean, you could say he does it all. I could say that he does 2 champions, Skimmy. It really depends on how you look at it.
I'm trying to build this guy up there, Rusty.
He's been playing well.
Good. I wanted him to feel good because I love it when I see something that's a little bit different.
The last time we saw his Ahri, it was good. I'm not here slighting the player, just the champ pool. You know, he's gone back to his faithful pick in the Ahri. And I say this every time, maybe just as a matter of preference, I would always rather be the opposing champion. If it's an Orianna, if it's a Syndra, I feel like I would always rather be them. But when you look at the composition that Mammoth have gone for, Ahri fits in a very uniquely capable way, right? You've got 2 engaged champions of the Leona, of the Wukong. Wukong with flanks is deadly, and it's a nice combo to work with, you know, an Ezreal throwing spells out and an Ahri throwing spells out. But what Ahri also provides is a form of like pick and engage, where it's not always full committal, because if you get caught, you can just ult yourself to safety. So just the ability to, you know, staunch your opponents, throw charms out. If they connect, follow through. If they don't, run away, is actually a decent thing that exists from the draft of Mammoth here, and particularly the mid lane pick of Chunky.
It's really adding to what is a ton of strength already in Mammoth's composition, which is pick, pick, pick. And if you do catch you out of position, you're most likely going to fall on down. Just as we get ourselves ready in for the final game, we're going to throw out a quick video and get you guys hyped up for Mammoth taking on Gravitas.
I think Gravitas on paper should be like an easy win for us this week, but sometimes in OPL, Praylist and Suman just decide to put on the show, so we're definitely not underestimating them going into this week.
So I think the game against Gravitas is probably draft dependent, and if they don't have Suman or a 1v9 champ, I think they're just going to lose.
I think Gravitas is probably the weakest out of all the teams, so I think it'll be a pretty easy win.
So tonight we play against Gravitas. If they've got Soman, should be a decent game. Don't have Soman, that was like FF at 15, I think.
There you have it. A Zoe man, apparently. That is their mid lane carry.
Yeah.
He's going to sew you, stitch you, and lock you down, and maybe give you some beautiful socks for Christmas.
He's going to take you down, say, see you, man.
Like
look,
that.
the point there was, is he going to be on a 1v9 champion? And he's on a Syndra, so it's not a pure 1v9, but it definitely has the capabilities of being a hard carry. So there is still some concern there for the Mammoth Court in terms of the draft itself. And I do think that like the overall composition here of Gravitas is still very scary, right? The ability of a Set and a Malphite to get into team fights, Bard to potentially set it up if he's able to hit his ultimates, is a lot of threat that is there to work with a Kai'Sa dive. The problem for me is when I look at this composition, I do personally feel like the Bard's just a little bit out of place. He picked it into the Leona, and I see this matchup, and I think I would rather be Leona. Like, how scary that 2v2 is going to be if Bass is playing bot side at all. And being on this side of the map as they are, he's definitely going to start down here.
Yeah, no, quite right. As to looking to sort of see how they can not fall victim to the collapse and the explosion of damage that not only Leona and Ezreal can present, but just the ganking ability as well. That Bass on your screen will also be able to do utilize in good steeds. Ton of engage potential. I feel like it's really going to be a case of who can find the more desirable collapse upon. Also, you've seen tons of situations where both teams have grouped up very heavily around these objectives, and as comical as it sounds, it's going to be these two on your screen right now between their ultimates to really knock people up, lock them in place, and guarantee a teamfight win.
Yeah, definitely going to be very much reliant around the top laners to have a 5v5 teamfight success. If we take the top laners out of it, which often is the case, particularly early, besides that one punch that they have, I feel like, Mammoth pre-6 has a lot of strength through their bot lane, but post-6, Gravitas have a lot of capabilities as well, with Beats being able to engage from mid-range. Until such a point, you've got a Syndra stun, you've got a flash, and presumably Hex Flash from Praylist as well, so they have some options, but it's not going to be as straightforward as the Mammoth side.
So it's becoming a little bit more apparent as we get into this one then, that the game plan, whilst maybe not as easy for Beats in that bottom lane, will definitely cater towards a major strength towards those team fights, and yeah, that is Liv taking a ton of punishment, as we're now going to see a very early rotation here for Mammoth. Going to hop in towards the mid-pixel brush. I like to say, let's get double scuttle.
Yeah, they're going to go for Scuttle Crab basically on spawn. So they do know now, I should say, where the set is. The question being, will they contest this one? We're looking at Nidalee going for top lane instead, so maybe looking for the kill under nobody. But he's going to concede, not going to be the case. Wastes his sweeper there as well to throw a spear, so not actually going to take down the ward that he swept his way past. So Mammoth with a wave that's bouncing back. Nobody in such a comfortable position in this lane, and knowing that the set's topside, tough life to be lived.
It certainly is. He's not having the dream start, and you mentioned how fun it can really be for both, given the tanky nature that they will both possess, especially with Wukong's passive, building up the armor stacks and getting a ton of health regen back as well. I'm just super curious to see how Boomer can play on this Kaiser. He's had a few standout performances on this pick, hasn't been able to find the victory screen, unfortunately, as a result. But in a lot of these matchups, especially into likes of, say, Katsuri, despite being down, we'll still be able to actually find a major CS advantage. As we might now see a potential 1v1 all-in collapse. And, okay. Well, I just choked my words there because that was crazy.
I don't know about that one. Chief, nobody flashes forwards, didn't have his W up. It was not enough damage. He tried to E-auto.
Yeah, that was, that's what I wanted to say, but that is not what came from my brain through my mouth. And, well, that is going to grant Lived with a very big window of success and happiness given the state of that lane. And he can return back this one now with a Tiamat.
Yeah, it's also, like, look at the way this Malphite's going to catch a wave here as well. If he just didn't die, like, the size of this wave, almost GG tier, right? And now there's the kill. Now there's the Tiamat, like you mentioned. I mean, Wukong's going to find himself in a much better position in regards to lane control. And that's one of the things Malphite exploits in this 1v1, right? You step up to try and hit a minion wave. You immediately cop an E on the ground. You get slowed. You get auto-attacked. You get a grass proc on you as well. You've lost a third of your HP just to try and push a wave in. This time, he's just going to step up, insta-clear the wave with the Tiamat. Malphite can't get nearly as much damage down because he's stuck dealing with minions.
Yeah, exactly. And getting closer and closer to level 6 as well. Going to free him up to then be best equipped to use that teleport to impact these other lanes. Assist with the potential heralds that are no doubt going to be looked upon very shortly as well. But 6 minutes into this one, been a bit of a quiet game for the junglers so far, as they've been looking to try and influence the matchup in some form or fashion, but it will be Prayerless taking the objective and starting off the dragon down here. In a situation which is actually quite comfortable for them, given the fact that Mammoth went for a reset.
Beats with the Mega Mind plays. Use the explosive plan to get himself over into the pit to give a magical journey out for Prayerless after the Drake is taken down. So nicely done here by Gravitas. Getting something back their way. I will say right now, though, a 10 CS difference in mid lane hurts. Nobody.
Yeah, he was committing there. He went for R1 and R2 of that ultimate there, and you could see, nobody has copped a major beating. Is he going to go into Cougar form, pounce, and go for the execute? This is disaster. Goes for the ultimate, the all-in onto Wukong. He's going to dash on out, and they're going to share money between the three of them. That's going to be Chungy picking up the kill and making sure that Azari, when picked, does pop off, but Prayerless is angry. He's had enough. He's going to bring in Lift and say, hello, you're dead, and Haymaker will secure that.
Best no mana, so didn't really want to commit himself to following that through any further than he already had. Nice play there from Prayerless to ensure that it is a trade. Nobody, of course, knew that he was dead in a 1v3 situation, so chooses to just ult in, maybe try and take the wave out with him at the same time, but just a little bit off there. Now finds himself 0-2. As once again, Chungy, the one thing that Mammoth have always got going for them in such a positive way is that when they pick the Ahri, they leave mid lane so often and so successfully to be able to find side lane picks, and it has, I would say, primarily been top lane. Maybe 90% of the time that those roams are successful, so definitely something to keep in mind. You know, nobody did start to burn his own bridge, but the other two here from Mammoth came back to that lane and really hit it home.
He definitely does feel like Chungy at times plays a bit like a Twisted Fate. They're consistently roaming, always looking for opportunities to find success. And that really does still hurt. Despite everything favouring here now Liv with that build and the itemization to try and even out these wave trades, nobody is still going to remind him that he is the rock on the top.
Well, that's it, right? It's evening out the wave. It's definitely not the trades. It's Ninja Tabis against the Tiamat, but Malphite's just one of those champions. It's one of those matchups. There's not a lot you can do besides cop the damage, reset often. And resetting often is a big risk a lot of the time. The fact that you're just not on the map does give a lot of freedom to the opposing jungler of Prayerless to make picks. However, it was Mammoth that were able to find them first and more successfully.
And they were indeed, as it is going to be Chungy that has the blue buff, and Artek is there for protection, as the lane flip will happen at 8 minutes in. Sumin does not actually have the blue buff himself just yet, because Predator did go for a reset, so waiting for that to be donated across. Going to see if he's able to find a situation to engage. Bear in mind, Doesn't have the Solar Flare, only level 5 on Leona, so it's not going to be as easy, and I'm sure he doesn't want to burn the flash to really force that home.
Mentioned this briefly. Last game, we're seeing the byproducts of it again as human cops are beating and an electrocute proc from Chungy. It's the blue buff difference in mid lane, right?
Yeah.
Both players have their lost chapter, and with the mana cost changes to Syndra, you do still really feel it. If you have to use more than a Q to clear waves, then you're going to feel the brunt of those mana cost changes. And the way that Ari is able to play this one out with blue buff is just throwing spells off cooldown, really keeping the Syndra at bay under turret, and is also now disappearing in a fog of war through control wards that he has placed on the top side of mid. This is also the area that Bass has been sitting. So a lot of freedom for him to move does mean that even though the map flippers come into play here from Gravitas, they should still have the edge, the ability to move first from mid lane, and that makes a significant difference and basically secures the objective.
Certainly does. Teleports were up and available, but they decide not to join in with the fun and games. And 10 minutes in here will be first Herald going in favor here for Mammoth. Now, questions are, where do they decide to use this? Because you can see a ton of vision has been placed topside. 3 control wards by Mammoth, which lights it up, guarantees they know exactly where Gravitas are at any point in the game.
Yeah, they do need to reset those control ward placements, though. The one particularly in the Herald Pit itself. There's a Drake up in 50 seconds, and it's an Infernal. So most likely want to transition a lot of their control to the bottom side of the map. You can already see that the... Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Notice mid laners both flexing their might right now. Oh, final dash of the Spirit Fox. Tried to connect as he looked to try and get the execution, but Unleashed Power prevents Chungy from doing any more than just that, so both will get dropped down to half and decide to back away. As you say, 30 seconds on the second Dragon of the game. And you start to wonder if that is what Gravitas are looking to play for now, if it is just going to be Dragon control.
That was a full commit from Chungy as well, just with absolute confidence. Flash Ignite and ult used 40 seconds before an objective. I'm not too sure that that was even in any way a good play. What it does give is priority in mid lane. You know, they had a Herald, so perhaps that could have resulted in a lot of turret plates, but Bass isn't even going to summon that one. At the end of the day, it gives a lot of priority before the Drake spawns, but Suman only used his ult for that. Still has the teleport, still has the flash, so if priority was something they were really emphasizing, I mean, they're not too worse off for that by any means. That's still a big cost from that.
Certainly is. We'll have to see if it actually hurts them in the grand scheme of things, because Mammoth will pick up the Dragon. Actually felt a little bit like one of the players we saw in the OCS called Zaita, who was always flashing aggressively. Doesn't matter the situation, he was always in your face, and there would be question mark pings at many times, but the high risk, high reward play usually paid off in that occasion.
I mean, it's the initiative that I like, Skimmy, right? Like I don't hate that someone wants to be hyper aggressive and flash forwards looking for it. I just think that there's a time and a place for a lot of these things. And like that wasn't it, yeah, it was an odd one.
So Bass running around the map, backing up the boys so far. Decides against fully committing to this one, and still the story has to be the same here. Yes, you've got the wave clear, but you just can't go blow to blow with this Malphite.
When Malphite uses his slam on the ground and Wukong turns to try auto attack, he literally stands still and just looks at the Malphite. Like that's how much attack speed it takes away. As top lane is at risk of being dove in just the 1v1. If Lived isn't careful, he dies.
Yeah, he doesn't have the flash, he only has his ultimate, but I tell you what, ultimate for ultimate, nobody wins those.
With a Bard in range to throw ult at the turret as well if necessary.
Both teams respecting what was a potential possibility there. As you can see, Beats was just in range to summon his ultimate to guarantee a fight would work in their favor. Now there's the Solar Flare, the Charm, and the Fate! Too little, too late! Mammoth turned their attention towards the mid lane and near the Spear as well. And are now looking to take as many turret plates as possible.
Yeah, I actually thought Artek might have taken that engage onto Beats there as well as a follow-up because he has the stopwatch. You know, there was a possibility that...
Okay, Kratos. Okay, nobody. They're all going to come into this one. They've had enough. They press R, and they mean business. That's a two-man double-kill wombo slam jam. As Prayerless has had enough of the pace of this game. And you mentioned it, set at 6. It's all fun and games. Now 3-0. He's got a bounty on his head as well.
They hit the combo. They actually do that through vision of Mammoth as well. So Mammoth would have seen that Malphite on the way Maybe just a little bit of disrespect there. Nice engage overall, however, as Mammoth were trying to threaten the turret using the Rift Herald, baited into their own decisions there. End of the day, you got to give some credit to Gravitas for a good punish.
So in the end, Liv gets off without losing his life, but now he's going to return back to this lane and go for the 1v1 into the mage. He doesn't have his flash, but he does burn out the Syndras.
Lots of little skirmishes happening left, right, and center as well as the opportunities present themselves. Human having a pretty rough go of it in this game, honestly. Every corner he turns, he seems to find someone who wants to just flash or ult him with no hesitation. Even though none of them are actually getting the kills, they are sure as hell trying.
You know what it feels like to me? It feels like, you know when you're playing Pokemon, you go to that gym leader and you've got to take on like 4 of his associates before you can get to the main one. Anywhere he goes, anywhere he turns, it's just another boss saying, fight me, come at me. And they go for the 1v1.
I get what you're saying there. Feels a little bit like that. It's a bunch of aggressive people trying to squat up on him.
Certainly is. As the first turret goes the way of Mammoth. 15 minutes in. Very little separating these two teams. And despite the scoreline here on Nobody, quite content to keep pushing back this Wukong.
What breakpoints are we looking at here? Level 11, pretty close for a lot of the members here. Puma actually, experience-wise, is keeping up with both solo laners. He's been given a lot of resources going into his pockets. Artek, while he has a kill, is also level 7, so very much behind in experience. He's clearly been spending a lot of time working around the jungle, working around the map with his team. And we've got big item spikes finally starting to come across for more than just the mid laner of Mammoth here. So while he has got a lot of items, I would say he's very well equipped to start assassinating people around the Rift right now. We're getting closer and closer to points where the rest of Mammoth may be able to work with him, but until such a time, I'm looking at Gravitas' item completions and level breakpoints coming across and saying that's pretty scary. The fight in 20 seconds at the Drake could be very dangerous.
Certainly could be. You see, that is the man I've got my eyes on right now in the set. He's got a fantastic angle so far to execute upon. He's going to slam dunk into free, slow them all down, bring them together, and lock them in place with the Tempered Fate. Now, what is the follow-up? The stun won't connect, but Killer Instinct lands. Pete's actually the one to pick up the kill, and then they lock in place Artek. That isn't clean as it comes. 2-man lockdown. Without a jungle, without a smite, this guarantees the Rift Herald.
Yeah, great punish there from Gravitas, right? Teleport comes in, no hesitation. We spoke about just how powerful they may well be for the upcoming fights, and they find it with very little time between that statement and the fight actually happening. Preventing any kind of trades from Mammoth is the real victory here as well. You know, they're not just going to go for Drake for Rift Herald. They try and actually prevent any objectives from going over to the Mammoth squad as nobody's dead.
He certainly is. Oh, back-to-back charms connect. There's the true shot barrage, and there's the retaliation for Mammoth. You took one objective on the top side of the map, well, Mammoth win on the bottom side. They say you can take the Herald, but we'll take the Dragon.
You just can't compliment anyone, can you?
You certainly can't.
The second you try, things just unwind. They used everything on the top side of the map, Skimmy. And then they go towards the Drake, maybe to try and get both objectives, but they instantly get punished for it. I mean, it's good for Mammoth here as well to be able to get the punish. You know, the Ahri was hardly involved in that Herald play at all, so it's definitely still had everything up. A nice little pick, I suppose.
Yeah, Mammoth will take those. They'll be quite content with it. I mean, moments prior to that, there was so much vision control on this map favoring Gravitas. Take a quick look at Beat's vision score. He's living the dream as a Bard so far, with all this vision, with all this control to catch members out of place.
Yeah, he's been having a good time running around. I always wonder if clearing Nidalee spears, traps count though. Like, vision score is such a disingenuous stat for what's actually happened on the map. Is a stat that you can visibly see though, so a lot of players actually focus on it. But if clearing a Nidalee trap counts as a vision score,
Yeah, you're stat padding at that point.
Yeah, without realizing you are, of course. But hey, Herald's going to be someone in mid lane. They want to break this turret. They will be able to for free.
So, mid lane is going to be equalized now. A turret apiece. The only 2 turrets that have fallen down have been in this lane. The protection can be afforded to these 2 mages. Will not be as apparent now. Nothing really separating these two teams at the 19-minute mark. Equal in turrets, golds, and kills. Mentioned before in terms of item breakpoints. Well, Shrelius is online here for the Bard. Arctic still working his way towards that stone plate.
There's a big set on one side of the rift here against what is notably a big Ahri on the opposing side. I feel like the game's starting to come down to more of a battle of vision than anything else. If you want it to be a successful set, I mean, Ayla's already proven it to us what it's capable of if you're able to get engages off that are good. And if you want to get picks as an Ahri, it is often about, do I have the control wards in place or do I have vision control in place before I actually use my abilities? So a lot of the game may well come down to that fact. And that's kind of, like, when you're looking at the teams that are 8th and 7th respectively on the ladder, that is something that may not be perfect, right? So a lot of mistakes could happen here and there, and that could actually be the difference maker.
Certainly could be. And we'll get to see exactly how they try and find an edge over their opponents so far, as both top laners play opposite sides of the map. I think Livs has had enough at this point in the game with the reduction on attack speed and the ability to actually push whilst remaining healthy. Let's see what the game plan is. As it appears, that beats... It's just going to get a freebie. You don't say no to that.
Yeah. I mean, you always take 5 if you can as a Bard. You know, I wish there was more carry Bard builds, just in general.
What is it? Halo Blades, all the Meeps, all the farm.
Guardian is too valuable to not have in a competitive game, because if you don't have it, you really don't have a laning phase, right? if you can't shield your AD, your heal's not that valuable early. It costs a whole lot of mana as well. But at this point, you know, because a lot of Bards, now that you can go Relic Shield and have health in your build, you're just so tanky.
Yeah.
What's to stop someone from saying that I'm just going to go for like a proto build? And I'm just going to go for like the one slap build, you know? I'd be here for that.
I know you would. You're a big Bard fan.
Yeah, just a little man.
You would take over the Bard commentary. You'd be the play-by-play.
Yeah, I can't control myself. I think you're correct.
Yeah, I'd be quite excited for that one.
It's nice to see it as meta as well. Just, like, as a champion, design is very volatile in a game state, so big fan of it. A lot of champions that are volatile are just very exciting to watch. And I will say, Mammoth have gone for a couple of those themselves. You know, someone like the Ahri is a very volatile champion. Leona is a one-directional champion.
Yeah.
Where a lot of other tank supports can go a couple of ways. There could be a support that heals, or there could be a support that engages. I'm always a big fan of the ones that they have a style, right? Set's the same, actually, for the opposing jungler here of Prayless. He doesn't really go backwards. He can peel a little bit, but he's designed to just use his fists and just pump people with fists.
He's angry. He's got a lot of frustration to let out.
That's so great.
No, I do agree with you on that point. You know, you've got these hard initiation style champions. They want to get in. They want to secure a kill. They'll fall on down for that act. But they'll most definitely guarantee a ton of CC to set you up with a platform to win out and guarantee that fight. Big evolution it has taken place between both the AD carries as they hit their 2-item spike. The Muramana is now there and ready to rock and roll. Trinity Force versus the Rage Blade, and that's the Unstoppable Falls. Goodbye, Chungy! Stunned before he can even press the flash button. Locked down and deleted in a heartbeat, and that is going to prevent Mammoth getting the clean, easy Ocean Soul point to run around with on this map, and that's going to continue to keep this game dead even.
You know, one of those champions that probably should never get caught is an Ahri, right? Has the flash, has the ultimate still up, wasn't even used. And you could see a magical journey coming towards him. But I've no doubt in my mind, he's like, they're pushing me back. There's no way they engage on for just me, right? Like, there's no way. And then he's dead before he could even press a button. So you've got to really look at the aggression and conviction of Gravitas in that little pick to be able to find it successfully. And they do get it with no issues at all. So another Drake going their way. And we're trading objectives pretty constantly here now. There was a top lane outer turret is basically what you would say was a trade for that Drake. But they get the kill with it as well. So you'd be pretty happy if you're Gravitas.
Certainly would be. Because that was a very fed Ahri. Actually going to be turning up to that fight there with a completed Rabadon's cap. So would have had some very solid pick potential. But wasn't to be the case. The pick got picked. that even makes sense, but we'll have to run around and figure out what's going to go on from this point onwards, as Gravitas are still lagging a little bit in terms of gold. I mean, I say a little bit, it is a very small amount, not enough to really break anything apart at this stage of the game, and you know, it continues to be, you know, I feel like a storyline of waiting until these late stages of the game where respawn time has become so high, but then they can look to try and break something open.
Gravitas almost get picked off there, you would have to say. Artek was hunting very aggressively, but with the set ultimate bringing towards the rest of the team, they're just going to choose to disengage. And this is something that you should get pretty used to seeing, honestly, if you're watching this game right now, is Mammoth are just going to throw spells, until one of them really sticks, and then they'll commit to it. Where on the side of Gravitas, they're not going to just throw spells out casually. There's a couple that they'll still throw out there, like your Kai'Sa W's, but they're a little bit more committal when it comes to the main spells in their kits. You see a Malphite ult in, a Kai'Sa to follow as well, set with his big ulti that he's going to throw in there with the showstopper. So the slight difference we'll see between these teams. And the reason that that's important is if we're setting up for objectives and Mammoth get vision control first, they're just going to throw it. They're just going to constantly throw spells out until it connects, and they'll actually hit more. Exhibit A.
Exhibit A and result A2 as Beats falls on down despite using the Magical Journey. Cannot evade just like that. Actually burnt both summoners as well, and that's a bit of a big deal given the nature of the objective control, which has been so paramount to the success of these fights so far.
Yeah, Praylist not on the same side of the map as Beats to be able to help him whatsoever. A nice little Spear and a Leona following up. That's one of the big differences here, right? They have control, they're able to work as a duo. They're able to find some picks, and Boma is going to be hitting the Baron buff. Not fully committing to that one by any means. He does have an Italy to heal him as well as Honey Fruit just to the right.
Oh, okay, Artek. I like the idea. Went for the blind flash in. Sumin's in so much trouble. Might fall down to the Ignite. Yes, he does. Liv's had enough. He's going to jump in right now and look for the Cyclone, but gets drawn back in. And may just fall on down, but a stopwatch buys a little bit of time. There goes the Charm. Oh my gosh, he dashes out. He survives the unstoppable falls, but not the missiles to follow on afterwards. Kusha Bros pats them down. That's a double kill for Boomer. Looking for the triple kill. Can the man show up at the biggest point possible? It seems to be, yes, he can. Give this man the money, and he will punish you. And that seems to be the story here, because 25 minutes in now, we talk about Baron dances. That was a 4-kill affair, and now they can look to play.
That was messy. Skimmy, I don't think they'll be able to do this one with an Ezreal alive. Just a little bit too much poke. And speaking of the Ezreal being alive, he had a very hard go at it in that team fight. His ability to hit people was heavily hindered. So we actually have a replay.
There it is.
It's working. We'll get to see how Sumin dies here to kick the fight off. And remember, Gravitas will do this fight without him alive, right? So keep that in mind. It's going to be a 4v5. Wukong goes way too forward looking for an extra pick on a Praylist and gets punished. Nobody misses everything with a massive airball. And then you just try and disengage from this point. And Bohm is struggling to hit spells because, again, there's a lot of mobility going around and away from him. Even Beats, who steps up in his face, is just going to portal his way over. So just having the numbers advantage consistently, the ability of Gravitas as an overall composition to only go forwards, they'll do it well. They'll do it well enough to be able to win a team fight. Not to get them a Baron, not to win the game or get an objective, but to give them a lot more momentum in this game.
Momentum is what they'll need to try and put daylight between each other to try and find that crucial edge, because that is once again Sumin going into the jungle, burning the flash straight away. R2 and the Cyclone won't connect, but he's looking to land the damage, and there it is. Rocks up there with the spear, but Puma's had enough. He comes in there with the killer instinct, and Artek can only do one thing, and that is go forward. He's overreached, and he's fallen on down as well. Oh. He dashed out of the ultimate, and Boma is a king. He's going to get slammed back into the dungeon, into the chaos, and, well, he can't do much when 3 members surround him and his team are unable to assist. Keyword, buzzword of this match has to be chaos.
Yeah, they find them again, and once again, the ability to not disengage. Like, the problem that Mammoth are running into is that a Leona goes forwards and there's no way out, as Chungy once again puts in some serious work. Probably going to just stop them from getting this Baron at all. Nobody in trouble as well here, Skimmy.
Certainly is. You're just not allowed a break. It's just fight after fight. Carnage after carnage. As the Bruisers will finally duke it out. Dashing forward there, trying to land the charm. Key target has to be Puma. Both don't have their flash. It's again Sumin. Questionable angle there, a flank which they just collapse and turn upon. And they say thank you very much for the money, and the Baron is just the biggest bait of all time.
I mean, I want to be nice, but Sumin's having a bit of a grief. in this one. He's having a lot of a grief in this game. He's having a pretty hard time. Mammoth now going to hit the Baron, well past half HP. Nobody to contest this one as well. You've got Prayless is going to go over towards the Drake and maybe try and get an objective back for them. But just, through the troves of chaos that have happened in this game, Mammoth somehow come out with a Baron after losing a team fight.
Can they get there in time? I don't believe they can, because this is dropping down rapid fire style. They trade the Baron for the Ocean Dragon. That now puts Gravitas on an Ocean Soul to play for. We mentioned at the start of the game whether or not that would be the game plan here for Gravitas to play for the Dragons, and seems to be the go-to now. Summoners don't really stay up online for that long, especially not when you run back to lane and want to have another go at it.
I'm going to have to respectfully ask Liv to stop doing that, because it's terrifying. Every time he dashes forwards and ults the Kai'Sa, Puma's 406, by the way. He's huge. And you've got a 5-0 set as well. So there's so much strength in this Gravitas roster. And they're really just throwing themselves at their opponent.
Yeah, they certainly are. They've got a ton of backline access, a ton of sniping potential. And I think you nailed it on the head when you mentioned that Mammoth have the poking benefits, really, between Ari, Nidalee, and the Ezreal. But Gravitas aren't shy to the full engage. They're definitely finding those moments to collapse upon and rewarded with these kills.
Yeah, I think they're way back into this one. Mammoth are going to try and play probably 2 lanes at once. They seem to be setting themselves up with Chungi in a side lane. Remember, he has no teleport, so the way that you will tend to play this one out of your Gravitas is the second you see Ari in a side lane and actually dealing with a wave, you're hunting. You're trying to find some kills if you can. You've got the Malphite grouping up. He doesn't have teleport either, so easier said than done, of course. You're going to be looking for those all-in team fights to slow down this Baron push. If you don't slow them down, they will just continue to throw those spells out.
Prayless looking for it. Oh, flashes out from the Facebreaker. They won't set up for the fight here today. Suman drop down to half, going to receive the True Shot Barrage as well and prevent that recall attempt. And this is Mammoth forcing pressure on the map to best utilize their Baron buff. They actually forced out the Malphite ultimate as well, and this is a big win.
Yeah, I mean, Malphite ultimate gone's huge because that's a lot of their engage. And Suman once again being forced back to base. He's having an all-you-can-eat buffet right now in this game, just eating all the spells. And they're going to continue to push forwards. Spears, Ari's Qs and Charms, Ezreal throwing out his Qs as well. If Mystic Shots connect on anyone other than Prayless and nobody, you will feel it.
See that the side lanes are passively pushing in their favor. Now Mammoth are going to disperse around and continue to use their Baron buff to escort those in to try and crash them at the exact same time. But no, going to be a lot of patience and discipline showed here. Not going to overreach despite those key ultimates being down.
They can't overreach, I still think, Puma's having a good game. Prayless very much equipped to be a tank in this one now that he's completed his Gargoyle Stoneplate too. There is a world where you make one positional error and then everybody is running you down. They're super dangerous. You have to respect them for sure. And, respect a Mammoth for being able to disengage and say, we'll take the small win there. The Baron was useful. It wasn't going to win us the game, but definitely useful. What can we do after that, right? You've got Drake in 1 minute that you'll need to take. The risk here, of course, is that Gravitas weathered the storm without losing inhibitors, and they're on Soul Point for an Ocean Soul with 3 Ocean Drakes.
Yeah, it's the best case scenario, absolutely. And, you mentioned Prayless, and I think it's worth highlighting the build he's gone for, right? Phase Rush into the Chilling Smite, as well as the Dead Man's Play, and actually has picked up the Elixir of the Iron as well. So, very, very quick. He's going to be a speedy boy on the Rift here, as you can see. Some very strong sticking potential to assist in the overall theme for Gravitas of locking down a key target. Question is, though, despite them having these insane KDAs on their phase or on their side of the map, it is still Mammoth that are pushing them out with a 5k lead as a whole.
Yeah, Mammoth still definitely have control of Summoner's Rift. Still not going to be the easiest thing here for Gravitas to get into areas. Being the Syndra has proven to be very difficult, and right now clearing this wards. Again, at risk of dying at every moment. And it's a Bard to protect you. Again, it's not going to be something that is infinitely useful for protecting a teammate or a carry.
Both AD carries, farming ahead of the clock. At least 10 CS per minute. A ton of kills to the name as well, so they are extremely fed, as you'd imagine, with 4 items soon to be completed on Mbomo. Puma has a slight advantage, and in very good timing as well, with 20 seconds. He's not going to find that reset, but he will see that his support falls on down, because Chungi is just a monster when he plays Ahri.
Oh, God, again.
Come off the charm, solid player locks him in place, assuming that's the killer instinct, jumps on in. It's all a bait! Mammoth thought they'd won that team fight. Now Liv goes in 1v4, locks them all up in the air, says, team, please! Team, where you at? It turns around just like that. The story of this game has been fight after fight, carnage after carnage, action which gives you question marks galore. And what you thought was a turnaround there from Gravitas in the end pays off big time with Mammoth getting the ace.
I mean, Chungi Diff's huge in this game, you know? Liv still gets the kills, he's able to get the team fight, but everything used prior to that one complements of a massive Ahri. And it looks good from Gravitas, right? They throw the real big uppercut play, but now it's just going to be enough time for Mammoth here with the ace, basically, to try and end this game. Big ultimate from Beats to buy time. I don't think it'll be enough, though.
It's going to delay the inevitable, but he goes flashing forward with that charm and guarantees that there is no member left surviving to defend the Nexus. 34 minutes in, a close game, but Mammoth will take the victory here. They're going to dance in front of that fountain. A victory on multiple different fronts for them, but victory nonetheless.
Ahri is a specimen, isn't it? You know, you don't often see Ahri running around, being picked at all in competitive League of Legends. Chungi has his set champion pool. He's very set in his ways. And for what it's worth, it's all working right now. He has found success twice in a row now, I believe, on this Ahri pick. And he's proving that he can play his own way and that Mammoth can play around him in that style and find their wins.
Certainly can. A sketchy game at a few different occasions there, but a clutch ultimate from what looked like a bit of an end there from Liv, but jumps in 1v4, knocks them all up, and just turns the fight on its head. A crazy occurrence there, Spawn. I mean, do you sort of agree here that Chungi just continues to go against the grain of what the meta is, picks what works for him, and sort of showcases that, yeah, you could play this, you could go with Syndra, but I can just make Ahri look, tier S.
Had relatively good matchups into Syndra and LeBlanc historically. So, like, if you're going to pick those two champions into Chungi, you should expect that that's going to be the champion he plays. If you're going to take something like a Zoe, he's definitely going to take something like a Yasuo as well. So I think he has a fairly telegraphed champion pool, and you can kind of pick your poison. If you were going to, go with that pickup, I think I would rather play Syndra into Yasuo because you can still at least bully the Yasuo during laning phase. Obviously, team fights become a little bit more difficult and you can't side lane against him. But I think Mammoth overall really played like they didn't want to lose that game. Not like they wanted to win it. You didn't see like the risk-taking that they were willing to take against Chiefs and the risk-taking that they took against Order and Legacy, right? When they were looking to upset the top of the table. This game looked like that they were just waiting for Gravitas to make the mistake.
Yeah.
And the game really slowed down again. And I mean, it's just a recurrent theme in the OPL. As the pressure rises, the game will slow down and these teams will look less proactive as the tournament goes on, I think.
What is proactive, though, is me and my standing for Mammoth. It is an exciting time to be Mammoth's #1 fan. Get me a big Mammoth pointy finger. So congratulations to them for their victory. And let's take a look back at all the victories we've seen today, day 2 of week 7 here on the OPL. It started off with a real wiping, I would say, Legacy over Chiefs for game 1, and then Order versus Direwolves hammering it out there for game 2, Pentanet.gg dominating AV Gaming for game 3, and then Mammoth and Gravitas trading blows throughout the entire game for Mammoth finally eke out the win there for game number 4. Let's take
what
a
happened
look
to left
at
side?
the standings. Yeah, I know. What's happened there?
Yeah, left side really sucked it up today, eh?
The graphics guy clearly heard our suspicions yesterday. In the standings for the OPL at the moment, at the top of the table, Legacy still dominant there at #1, though with a few more losses to their name than they may have been expecting. Coming in second place, Order very comfortably there. Pentanet.gg are third, then it's Chiefs, Direwolves, Avant, Mammoth, and Gravitas down there at the bottom. So that is look, that is not the standings, I would say, Rusty, that I would have expected as we headed into Split 2.
You also don't want to finish last in playoffs. Like, obviously you want to make playoffs, but God, look at the run you have to make.
I know. That is insane.
Are playoffs locked? Like, are you willing to call it? There's only 7 games left.
I don't think anyone can beat the current 5 that isn't in the current 5.
Because you have to think, with 7 games left, Avant would have to sweep the round robin, you feel, to make it in.
Yeah.
You don't feel like Direwolves are going to lose to Mammoth Gravitas. Oh, that is such a hard run.
That is an insane run. It will be a bloodbath, and I, for one, am looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to next week. Let's take a look at the schedule as we barrel towards those playoffs and that grand final. Next week, Friday the 24th of July at 4 p.m. Sydney time, we have Chiefs versus PGG for game number 1. It's then AV versus Mammoth for game 2, Order versus Gravitas for game 3, and Legacy versus Direwolves game number 4.
That is a banger day. 3 of those games are red hot.
Absolutely. There's particularly game number 2, there's a lot in it for, like we said, Avant. If they want to make it into playoffs, they're going to have to start winning some games as of Friday. So, please join us for Friday the 24th, because we're excited to be back then. We're excited to have you then as well. We're also excited for our sponsors, Macca's, EPOS, and Neosurf. Thank you very much to our wonderful sponsors for helping make the OPL happen. And a quick reminder about both competitions, Neosurf and EPOS are running. You can find more details about that on all of our socials and at watch.lollysports.com. But there is cash, dollary dues, and headsets galore to give away, and we're excited to do it. So thank you very much, Neosurf and EPOS. We'll be hanging around for the MPL coming up. I think we're jumping into some ARAMs, which is always a contentious issue. But after the slow, devilish shellacking of particularly that second game of TFT yesterday, I feel like we need a different kind of shellacking. So that's why we're going to be heading into ARAMs. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed your weekend.
Of course.
Always, mate.
Nothing from Rusty.
Rusty's
he hated
like,
the
get
whole
me
time.
out.
Yeah, Rusty's just like, I'm done, man. My food still hasn't arrived. I think Rusty's going to scoff something down in the break before the MPL. We hope that you guys can stick around and potentially play some ARAMs with us. Big thank you to the crew as well for making this week happen. We couldn't do it without you, and so thank you very much for all the hard work you're doing from all of the homes you're in at the moment. If you're in Melbourne and Sydney in particular, I hope you guys are staying safe and well. Spawn?
I was just like, I've been waiting for you to close out. I thought that was it. I was blowing kisses to everyone as we were leaving, and you're just still going, and I was like, this is really...
Well, I 3 kisses into a stop.
3 kisses into a stop, and then I just saw the hand, and I was like, he clearly has something to say. Spawn sending out kisses. We're sending kisses out to all of you. Everyone stay safe. We hope to see you in the MPL. We are done. Kiss him out, Spawn.
Mwah.
Today is the Neosurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
Neosurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is dead! He's got it!
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact free, we'll be here.